People of Earth, we come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Max World Live. Max World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Max World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Max World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. It is 6 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock on this 28th day of December in the Lord's year 2015. Yes, this is a live show. Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday will all be live. Tomorrow, Frank, you having Reverend Johnson in?
He's going to call second hour.
Okay.
So me and if Bob's coming, I assume
No, Bob's
he is.
not coming. Bob's got his daughter. Seriously, Bob's got his daughter and his granddaughter. In fact, his 5-year-old granddaughter saw snow for the first time yesterday.
Oh, today, actually.
Today, yeah.
That's right.
And she wanted to make a snowball. Well, you tell the story. She's your kid. But
Yeah, well, grandkid. She's 5.
Yeah, I saw the
and
picture.
we took her out with her all bundled up, and she wanted to make a snow person or a snowball, and she went and took her gloves off. I'm going to take my gloves off so I can make a snowball. And I'm kind of like, what? And I said, I'll let her do it. So she did it, and she started screaming and crying because
cold.
it was so cold. And so we had to take her back in, warm her up.
yeah, so you're gonna be here all by yourself tomorrow.
Well, I don't know about that. I think Bob's supposed to come.
I'm just telling you, Bob's not coming.
But anyway, prior to that,
He asked me if he had to come in tomorrow, and I said no. So he's going to stay with his granddaughter.
I doubt if I'll be producing and hosting at the same time.
Well, I'm just telling
But
you. You better tell Ron then.
Prior to that, on Facebook, up until this snow, they had some pictures of snowmen that were made out of mud. So that's what we got until we got some snow.
All right, so what's the plan for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I believe, I am going to be producing, and Bob's going to host.
No, Bob's not going to be here.
And Kevin's calling in, if we have a show.
Wednesday, I'm going to be back. I think maybe I better come in tomorrow. I'll be back, and it'll be the first time. In fact, you should take Wednesday off because I'm afraid of you coming in with this new guest of mine. It's Father Adam Westfall with the Catholic Church.
What makes you think that? You think I'm anti-Catholic?
I think you're annoying. And so I've been trying to get a Catholic priest in for several years. This guy ran it up the flagpole. I don't know if it went all the way to the bishop or something, but I know it went through the church. And he's coming in on Wednesday for at least the second hour. So I really look forward to that. I want to create we've got a really good relationship here with a lot of Christian pastors. But I want to create a relationship with a Catholic, and I'd also like to create a good relationship with an imam that would be comfortable coming on here. And we'll talk a little bit about Muslim and Islam a little later as Paul's on the radio with us in the first hour as we talk about some of the news stories that are going on. But in the second hour, Paul's going to talk about the fact that he went to a local mosque and actually sat down and spent several hours talking to the imam and some of the people over at the mosque.
I went to the one on 63rd and Franklin.
Yeah.
And I had a few questions when I was studying the Quran. And I brought those questions up. And I brought the Bible along with me. And they were pretty open to talk about these various things.
Yes. I want to hear about that. And very special guest today. Very special guest. He came by the studio all the time when our studios were downtown, but now that we moved out to the suburbs, he doesn't come very often. But Brent Westman is here. Otherwise, we call him Grace Like Rain. And,
hello, America.
He's in America. He's in studio today. So how do you like the new studios?
Oh, it's sweet.
A little bigger than the other ones.
Yeah. It's not as cool as the other one, but it's sweet.
Not as cool?
Well, yeah, you're right on the skywalk there. You got the people walking by.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
that's true. Monkeys in a cage.
It's got kind of the Good Morning America.
when you're down there. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry we had to move out of there, but there was good reasons we did that. We needed to put the radio station and the webcast together, and couldn't
get away from me. And
No. Couldn't put a radio station down there.
We just missed the clip clop of high heels going by the window.
We do.
us.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And well, you miss what's above the hitch.
Yeah, well,
let's face it.
I'm not blind, and I'm a guy, so.
All right. So, Bob, what was your favorite Christmas present you got?
I would have to say my
coming to visit from Texas.
From Texas, and that, and my other daughter, of course, is here back in Iowa, but my son is still down there in Oklahoma.
Yeah, studying.
Oh yeah,
training,
working them hard.
Good. And Brent, what was your favorite Christmas present?
Oh, that's a good question. My favorite Christmas thing is just being able to spend it with my kids and my wife.
Yeah.
And not have to work or worry or anything like that. So that's a present to me.
All right, good. Frank, what was yours?
For about 2 or 3 hours on the phone, which we haven't done that for a while.
Paul, what was your favorite Christmas present?
Just having the kids over and things like that. And
how many kids you got?
Well, it'd be I got 2. One's in New Jersey and one's here, and then my wife has a whole bundle of kids. So they're the ones that all showed up.
Good. So you had a good family Christmas.
Absolutely.
Ryan, what was your favorite Christmas present? Can you share that with us on your microphone in there, or do you even remember Christmas? It was quite a while ago. He can't get his mic to work. Never mind.
Text it in.
There you go. Now can you hear it?
Yeah, I got it working. I can't even remember what I got.
See, I told you.
I got a couple sweaters. That was awesome.
Did you get any more socks, did you?
Actually, no, I did not.
Okay, good. Well, I brought my favorite present that I got. I've had the same Bible for since 1998. And, of course, I just started using it 4 or 5 years ago. It always looked really good on the shelf, when people would walk by. But my wife got me the Jesus-Centered Bible. And it's an NLT. And what it is every place in the Old Testament where they refer to the coming Christ, the Messiah, the Lord, it's in blue. And then it has references to New Testament passages. And then in the New Testament, obviously, everything's that Jesus said was in red. And I got to tell you, I've only been looking at it since Christmas Day a little bit, but I took it to church on Sunday and took it to Bible study the other day, and I'm really enjoying it. And I did find out from Jill King, apparently this Bible it's not rare, but it doesn't sit on bookshelves. And so I talked to Jill King up at King's Christian Bookstore, and she said she can order them for you if you want them.
So have you marked it up yet? I got one.
And we did 2 Luke yesterday as a sermon right here on page 1068. Mark Brandt preached yesterday on the story about let me say it right. Simeon. Thank you. And I had never heard that story before, so that was the sermon at church, and so I always mark, what the Bible verses are for that. But it's really neat, and I would encourage you to go and find someplace. There's just such a vast wealth of knowledge about when they were talking about the Lord. Like, for instance, I just turned to a page, and I happened to be Judges 12. And Judges 13, 2 through 5. Similar words are used in the promise of the birth of John the Baptist, whose job description is to point to the ultimate rescuer, Jesus. And then that refers to Luke 1, 5 through 20. And so it's just really cool. It's really neat. I don't think I would have appreciated it too many years ago, but I appreciate it now. So, and remember that when you go to King's Christian Bookstore, ask for one of their complimentary 2016 little pocket calendars. I know that wasn't a commercial for Jill. It was a reference that if you want to get this Bible, you can get it there.
So is that your new book for your lists of guests, or your lists of guests coming up in 2016?
You mean the Ask the Pastors?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be all right in here. Yep. Although I'm gonna keep this Bible in my. I'm probably not going to bring it to the office because we've got 3 or 4 others up here at the office. But this is so neat. I would encourage you to find one and look at it. All right. We're coming up on the first break. There's a lot of news going on today. In Ohio, those 2 police officers who were originally charged with conspiracy of murder after a 12-year-old child was gunned down by the police, later to find out that he had a BB gun. And the grand jury decided not to file charges against those police officers, that in looking at the gun, it was safe enough to know that if a police officer in a split-second moment saw that gun in somebody's hand, that's going to look like a real gun. Now we'll have to see what happens in the community, whether they will accept the law and their neighbors looking at this case, or whether they will decide that it's a good reason to riot and we have Ferguson, Missouri all over again. So that's one of the national stories we're following. Also, a young lady by the name of Nicole Underwood, 21 years old, from Des Moines, was killed in a bus accident in Chicago. The crash was reported on Interstate 55 northbound at about 6:40 this morning. 33 people were on the bus. The preliminary investigation says the Trailways bus, for whatever reason, the driver lost control and struck a construction arrow board sign. The impact caused 4 passengers to be sent to the hospital, but obviously Nicole Underwood, 21 years old, has lost her life, originally from Des Moines, been a University of Iowa student since she graduated. So our family, our prayers and thoughts go out to the Underwood family, because there's just no good way of dealing with that, you know.
Was the young lady that was killed in Ames recently 21 also?
Yeah, she was young, and that investigation still remains open. We've got several shootings that happened over the weekend, also a couple robberies, and then something that you just have to say only in Iowa. Only in Iowa. Well, maybe a few more states, but it's a great story just because you're from Iowa. All right, we'll take our first break. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job. Couldn't do it without you. Top news stories coming up later. Paul, he goes to the mosque with his Bible and his Quran, and he just talks to him for a couple hours. The amazing things he learned. We'll talk about that when we come back next, live here on Max World. Thanks for listening to 99.3.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon, 21 minutes after the hour, 3 o'clock, 28th day of December. If you're listening to this at another time or another date, it's been replayed as the best of. The first hour should never be replayed because of the news stories, but the part with Paul, who's our special guest later on in this hour or at the beginning of 4 o'clock, Paul is a local guy. Were you born and raised here?
I was born and raised in Ames, moved to Gilbert.
Okay, so that's kind of the same.
Yeah.
Served in the Navy.
Served in the Navy, yep.
And just loves Jesus and decided one day he'd go over to the mosque at 63rd and Franklin and sit down with some of those Islamic boys and see what's up.
Kinda.
All right. He's going to share those stories with us. Also, Brent Westman calling Grace Like Rain stopping in because Wells Fargo gave you a day off, huh?
Yeah, I actually have the rest of the year off. I've been off since the 21st or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're a mucky muck at the big WF.
Yeah, they have a policy you got to use your vacation or you lose it. So, I just stockpile it and got to get rid of it because it starts over again on the 1st. So
you like that?
I do. I get 30 plus days off and then holidays on top of it. So
good.
They take good care.
Yeah, you're a good guy. So, all right. Of course, Bob's here. Bob's got his 5-year-old granddaughter here. Saw snow for the first time this morning, so he's been running around with her, and that's always fun. And then there's Frank. Frank, it's so nice to see you. You know,
it's 10% more fun when I'm here.
You know, I was sitting there this morning and I was working on the show and getting everything ready, and my phone rings and it's Frank, and I thought for a moment how long it had been since I had to deal with, I got to talk to Frank. It had been all the way past last Wednesday, and then of course,
and he just can't wait to get in and see me. Don't let him kid you.
There was Frank. What are we going to talk about today? Frank, it doesn't matter, okay? You don't need show prep. You're just a bundle of wisdom when it comes to this. That's
true.
All right. I want to start out with a story, and I know it's not just in Iowa. This could be Nebraska. This could probably be a lot of places, but you just have to admit. I mean, this is the one. If you have, like, I have Facebook people all over the country and all over the world, and when I posted this story on my Facebook page this morning, the feedback was just incredible because it sounds so ridiculous. Dateline, Menlo, Iowa. Authorities are investigating a case of an illegal cow butchering that occurred on Christmas Day in Guthrie County. The incident happened at a farm operation near the town of Menlo. Deputies were initially called to the farm area on a suspicion of burglary. When they arrived, they noticed blood on the roadway and raw cow flesh and hide in a nearby ditch. Authorities say they noticed a gate to the corral next to the ditch was open and continued walking into the pasture. At that time, authorities found a cow cut in two large pieces behind the corral. Farmer Keith Partrow posted graphic photos of the butchering on his Facebook page. The cops were able to get some good boot prints in the snow and in the blood, the farmer said. Neighbor up the road reported a break-in at one of his sheds. He has a security camera system, so hopefully we can see who it was. Parthlow said in his post that it appeared the cow was shot and then cut in half and then gutted. He also suspected the rear half of the carcass was drug up the road by a vehicle. Investigators are still searching for possible suspects. If found, charges could include trespassing, livestock abuse, felony theft, and criminal mischief. Now, hold on. Seriously, Bob, help me on this. I get the trespassing. They're not supposed to be where they are.
Right.
I get the theft because they stole part of the cow. criminal mischief, okay, whatever. But livestock abuse, this is murder. This is not abuse.
I don't think they
what Frank does to me every day is abuse.
Well, I don't think they consider killing an animal murder.
Yeah,
Is that? Am I going too far there?
Yeah.
This happened on Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas Day.
Yeah, I mean, and the stores are closed. The guy probably just wanted a burger and.
Yeah, right.
Right? Bob?
Chick-fil-A's not open.
Exactly.
McDonald's
got to feed his family. And
well, when they say it was cut in half and then gutted, are we to assume that the beef was taken?
Well, that's funny to say it that way. Usually you gut them and then you butcher them. So
well, this said the cow was shot, cut in half, and then gutted.
Yeah, I don't know how they can determine the
order
for the order of when it was done. Right.
Well, you as a former DCI investigator, how could you tell whether it was cut in half and then gutted or the other way around?
Right. I just know when we go deer hunting, you gut them after you shoot them.
You'd want to gut it first, and that would get rid of a lot of extra weight.
Well, not only that, you can contaminate the meat. There's a proper process of processing beef.
Yeah, I'm sure the guy that broke onto the farm on Christmas Day was really concerned about the USDA and their and their rules and regulations.
Well, obviously they weren't going to be eating the meat, is my guess.
You don't think they were eating it? Oh, well then why would you go through all that trouble of killing it, cutting it in half, and gutting it if you weren't?
Well, that's probably why they call it abuse.
All right. Well, I hope we follow this story.
Bob rests his case.
Bob rests his case.
Well, there's a couple other options.
Oh, no.
It could be...
I know what he's going to say. I know what you're going to say.
Alien abduction.
I see.
Or it could be something satanic.
Could be. Could be. I figured you were going to come from that. All right. Now, here's a sad story. The man killed in Sunday's shooting here in Des Moines had been released from prison less than 2 weeks ago. Taco Connor, 36 of Des Moines, was found shot to death in the hallway of an apartment complex in the 5200 block of South Union. At about 11 o'clock at night, Connor was released from prison just 2 weeks ago. Connor was arrested for driving while barred, an offense for which he was charged numerous times in the past, operating while under the influence, open container, possession of marijuana, failure to obey a traffic control device, and violation of a probation. His criminal history includes charges of domestic abuse. Excuse me. The motive behind the shooting is still unclear. A woman, 37-year-old Amy Stockel, was also found shot but is expected to survive. The complex is a three-story building here in Des Moines. They've made no arrests. They have no leads. More information will be released at 6 o'clock today. That's too bad. Just got out of prison. All right. You got any thoughts on that, Frank?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
Bob, who did it?
I need a little more time to figure that one out.
Do you? Well, you got the cow case figured out right away.
Well, humans are a little different.
Are they? Okay. Police are also searching for a vehicle near Easton Boulevard where a man reportedly robbed a convenience store this afternoon. A white man wearing a black jacket with a green hoodie, guy's got to be colorblind, had his face covered, reportedly robbed a get-and-go at 4164 Easton Boulevard at about 1:15 this afternoon. The man reportedly got into a car which headed west on Easton Boulevard. It's unclear whether the man had any weapons. So if you know a white man who wears a black jacket with a green hoodie, you might want to call Crime Stoppers. So, there's no better, sweeter victory in the world when your competition or your enemy succumbs and then ends up coming to work for you. And that's happening with the Iowa Right to Life. You may recall a young lady by the name of Sue Thayer. She used to run Planned Parenthood of the Heartland. And then several years ago, she began to, she just got a conscience, I guess. Upon her refusal to perform dangerous webcam abortion, she was fired. She's embroiled in a huge lawsuit with her former employer, but since her firing, she's gone on to become a leading statewide and national pro-life leader. She tirelessly speaks about the truth about the dangers of abortion and Planned Parenthood. She is now working for the Iowa Right to Life and Jennifer Bowen. I think that's pretty cool.
That's becoming a lot more frequent. The last D.C. rally on C-SPAN was showing several individuals like that. The more medical technology is showing heartbeats, sonograms, etc., the more people are realizing that life begins when it begins at conception.
Yeah. But the challenge is, will the low information voters ever concede that they're committing genocide?
No.
How do you... I mean, I understand sin and repentance. And my sins are just as bad, according to the Bible, my sins are just as bad as a woman who chooses to take the life of her unborn baby. Right, Frank? Isn't
Yes,
that the way
absolutely.
we see it? Sin is sin, and there is, Jesus' blood wasn't shed just for the worst of the sins and not the other ones. So I make no judgment. But the difference is, I think, I have learned to repent. If a woman and a man chooses to take the life of an unborn child and then continues to support that right for other people, I don't know how you stand before your Creator. I don't know.
But it's one thing to sin yourself, and it's one thing to advocate sin causing your brother to stumble into that sin. There's a shared responsibility there that it's like the thief who never steals nothing but teaches the young man how to steal. There's a shared responsibility in life, and the people who are promoting this is going to pay a hefty price when they look in the eyes of Christ their Savior.
Well, and hopefully they repent before the end of their life comes and they realize that they've done wrong. I'm sure I'm not done sinning. I mean, I think I get a couple of humdingers in every day, Bob, you don't sin anymore, do you?
Well, no. Well, the Bible says that people that deny that they sin,
I know, but
you know what they call them. So I sin.
You sin.
But I don't consider myself a sinner, but I sin.
So what do you consider yourself? Son of a risen king?
Son of a risen
Exactly.
king.
Okay. Brant, you been sinning lately?
Sure.
What was your last sin?
I probably went a little too fast on the way to this establishment.
Oh, see, that's man's law, though. I don't think when you break man's law you're sinning. Are you?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obey those that have rule over you. The authorities have rules. And so, especially since he was going over the speed limit on a day like today, I mean, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Because in driver's ed, they always teach you to slow down as the conditions worsen.
Yeah, so that's a worse sin, you see.
No, I don't. I just don't. I'm sorry.
I've always called myself the chief of sinners, so there you go.
I'm sorry. Jesus never said anything about driving your car too fast on a Merle Hay road. So why is it a sin? I'm being serious about this. I understand he broke a law, but why is that a sin?
Hey, Jesus still speaks to us now.
Right.
And he probably told him that he shouldn't do that, right? Yeah. You felt conviction?
It's on the contract.
So on the day,
obviously.
So on the day we went from 55 to 65, was Jesus out there helping change the signs, going, "Okay, now it's okay to drive faster"?
No,
I just don't buy that. I'm sorry. I don't buy man's laws. Breaking man's laws is a sin.
But perhaps he used somebody to change that sign.
Yes.
See how I did that right there?
Paul, you've only been here 35 minutes. Do you see how difficult my job is?
It could get pretty difficult. I can see that.
Well, see, the problem is, here's my challenge. I surround myself with people who are smarter than myself.
Right.
Because I think that's the only way you get ahead in life.
Exactly.
But I really out-kicked my coverage on these three because they were so smart.
Well, if he went too fast and he hit somebody,
yeah,
he would have suffered greater consequence on that.
That's true.
Because his insurance company would have hit him.
Well, we could probably, if I was a liberal, I'd say that by driving fast, he was committing attempted murder.
Well, yeah, he could.
Absolutely.
If he had actually killed somebody and then drove off.
No, I don't think he had to hit anybody. Just in his mind. No, that probably wouldn't work. All right.
10% of that, they would a legal attorney of some kind would have found you culpable somewhere.
We're coming up next, live here on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer. I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the service manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed raters free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still a fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing. We have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
"22 minutes for the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at 4, and then at 4:06, we're going to have a special guest, Paul, who's actually already in the studio. You've already heard a little from him. He's a listener. You've probably heard him call in. And he decided when investigating Islam that he would buy a Quran and study it. And then after studying it for a while, you went over to one of the mosques and spent a couple hours and talked with those guys over there.
Close to 8 hours.
8?
Yeah, my wife was a little nervous when I didn't come home.
All in one stretch?
Well, I was there twice.
Okay.
And the first one was 8 hours, and the second time was 8 hours.
Wow. Yeah. All right, so we're going to hear about that.
They had a lot of questions.
Yeah, all right. And they were nice to answer them. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk to Paul about that in the next hour. Now, I told you earlier about the story about the 12-year-old that was playing with a BB gun, and the police came up on them, and he pointed the BB gun at the police, and the police shot him. And the grand jury in Cleveland, is that where it was, I think? Cleveland, Ohio?
Cleveland.
Found this morning that there was no reason to file charges against the police, that the gun looked real enough and pointed at the police officer, and the police officer had just a split second to decide my life or his, and he obviously fired the gun, and the 12-year-old died. Now, Bob, you've been a Department of DCI guy, right. Criminal investigation for years and years. How do you say to the family? I know your son didn't do anything wrong, but he pointed a gun at an officer, and the officer only had one choice to make, and that was his life or his life or the child's. How do you explain that to a parent when, you know, they're obviously very upset and grieving? They thought the officers should be tried and they should get justice.
Well, this is something that happens. I mean, this is not a first. this happens quite a bit, where people come out and they rob banks or stores, whatever, and a lot of times they have a BB gun or one of the pellet guns, and sometimes all they do is they look like real weapons, and they just paint the tip a bright, blaze orange.
Yeah.
But you can take that off, and so, from a distance, and we used to have a display at the laboratory, which gun is real and which gun is not, and people couldn't tell. So you cannot tell whether a weapon is real or not. And so it's a judgment call on a police officer, and who's to say they're right or wrong? I mean, it's the grand jury said, well, if I was in that situation,
I would have done the same
probably
thing.
would have done the same thing, and you can't tell the age of the child or the person.
And the last number of years, toy guns have been made to look a lot more realistic.
Oh yeah, they look like the real thing.
Except for the fluorescent orange tip, but
Right.
that, like you say, can be removed or painted or whatever.
And then that was removed on this gun. They talked about that during the press conference today.
Right, so there's no way.
Yeah, they actually brought out the same toy gun still in the packaging, and it had the orange.
So the moral is don't point anything at the cops.
Well, we would tell them, my kids, when they were younger, they had those airsoft weapons and so forth, and we told them specifically, you do not take this outside of the house. You do not point it at anyone because you can be shot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a known. It's been this way for years.
Now, you've got 2 young sons. One is 3.
Yeah.
Will you allow them to play with toy guns?
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's something they want to do, I'm not
Okay.
going to force it on them by any means. But
and then you'll just explain, what it is and the consequences.
yeah, and just speaking for myself, I had toy guns as a kid, and the first rule was always you don't point it at anybody. I think that's the thing. But this situation is going to be tough because everybody's going to be looking on it with the hindsight kind of thing, and this is what I would have done, and this is what you should have done, and you don't know what these people were thinking in that situation, and that's the kind of the problem is you have a second to make a decision. You can't think about it like.
Was race involved in this at all, or no?
I don't know. The young boy was black. I have no idea if the officers.
Then it's obviously racist.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if that community is going to come unglued tonight.
Yes. Yes.
They were hoping, obviously not. The sheriff the prosecutor himself went over to the mother's house and told her before he came on television with the press conference.
Sure, and that was that's the right thing to do. And the thing is, you have to also understand the officers are yelling at these people, put your weapon down, put your weapon down. That's standard procedure. They're telling them and yelling at them to put their weapon down. And if they don't follow that, then they're looking for trouble. I hate to see it. I hate to say that, and I hate to see that happen, but it's a reality.
They're having discussion right now about trying to make airsoft guns, and I think some pellet guns listed as firearms and things like that because the how fast the projectile can actually travel. Yep.
Right. We at the laboratory we have an instrument that can determine speed of a pellet. So some of the BB guns or pellet guns, if they're a certain speed, they can be considered a dangerous weapon.
I think they can get up to 600 feet per second. I've heard.
And higher.
I got one that had 1,200, and almost as much as a short 22 caliber short. So
right.
Yeah, it's a 22 caliber round that is actually coming out of there. So from a distance of 20 or 30 feet, it'd do just as much damage.
So it's a deadly weapon.
Oh yes, absolutely.
It certainly could be. So that's the danger. When I used to receive training, firearms training, when I did CSI work. I think everybody knows what CSI stuff is since TV has made it very popular. But even in a knife situation where people get complained if it's a gun versus a knife fight, you think that the person with the weapon or the gun itself has the advantage. That's not always the case. We were taught that if the person is coming at you within 21 feet, if they get to 21 feet, you can shoot them. Just imagine 21 feet away, and you can, and that's within the legal rules. Because if a person gets to you, they can take you out, even if you have a gun.
So the individual that was shot on the street with the knife was probably clearly within 21 feet.
I don't know that. I don't know the situation, and there are some police officers that do the wrong thing. I mean, that does happen.
Yeah. Chicago's going crazy right now because a mother of 5 and a grandmother came outside to see what was going on over the weekend in her front yard, And there was a young man who was acting irrationally, and the police felt there was danger, and they were shooting at him, and one of the bullets hit the grandmother, and now she's dead.
Oh, yeah.
And Chicago is just, I mean, I don't get Chicago. I just don't get why there are so many shootings in that town.
Right. The large cities have that kind of a problem. That's just the case. That's the way it is. I hate to say it. Detroit's another one. And New York used to be that way, New York City, and it did get better. But they have a force of like 42,000 police officers.
In New York.
It seems like our attention only gets focused on the ones where there's a black-white issue, when literally nightly there's black-on-black crime on the south side of Chicago that just goes unreported. I mean, it's just like...
Yes.
Yeah, it's... again, it's a thing that's going on in our communities. I have stopped referring to the other side of conservative as progressive or liberal or Democrat. I think I got it nailed when I call them low information voters. They just see the surface. They figure out how it makes them feel. They react on their feelings. And all lives matter. I don't even know how we allow in this PC country an organization called Black Lives Matter. I don't get that.
That program has nothing to do with Black Lives at all.
No.
The two people that started that was part of the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And they were pushing a black lesbian issue, and that's what part of that, or most of it is.
Yeah, it's not even what it says.
It has nothing to do with that. They just attach that name on there so it draw an emotional response for a lot of people.
And it's designed to run against whatever Republican conservative candidate there is. So
that's exactly what
it's
it
like
is.
The 99% thing, and 1% was designed to run against Romney as an out-of-touch white guy, rich white guy, as opposed to Trump, who's just embracing his wealth. And the Black Lives Matter is designed to run against the Republicans.
All right, when we come back, we lost two superstars in our country here in the last 24 to 48 hours. We'll talk about those two men and also Paul, who's got quite a story after spending 16 hours at a local mosque talking to them about what Islam is about and the Bible. That's coming up live here on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for the opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 10 minutes before the top of the hour Salem Radio Network News. And then Paul is here, and we'll talk a little bit about his 16 hours, 2 8-hour sessions that he spent in a local Des Moines mosque talking to an imam and some of the other folks that were there. Hey, I want to remind you that you can join Franklin Graham for the Decision America Tour at the State Capitol Building in Des Moines on Tuesday, January 5th. So that's a week from tomorrow. The rally starts at noon. All details are at Decision America Tour -com. No, that's not right. I'm sorry. That would be DecisionAmericaTour.com. DecisionAmericaTour.com. So you can join Franklin Green. Hopefully it'll be better weather than it is today, because that won't be any fun at the state capitol. And I guess they did try to explain to him that you can't have an outdoor rally in Iowa in January, but he didn't want to listen.
Did you read a story that Franklin Graham was supposed to be talking about leaving the Republican Party?
Yeah, I did. He's going independent.
Was that a valid story?
I think so, from what I could tell.
Because you can't always tell, you know.
Right.
I mean, you hit these stories, you don't know for sure.
Well, I saw it, and that's what he was saying. But, you know, whether it's valid or not, that I don't know.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble, Frank. But if you didn't have to be registered as either a Republican or a Democrat to vote in the primaries, I'd be registered as an independent.
Same here.
I just can't. I can't anymore.
I get a little persnickety when it comes to independent voters, because you either lean independent conservative or independent liberal. It's like O'Reilly's always one to brag what an independent he is, but you either lean one way or the other. So I think that's kind of a hard thing when they take polls, when they poll test these moderates and independents, because I don't think you always get the best responses.
Well, but polls don't work anyway. I mean, if you ever learn anything from listening to this program, please consider this. Polls are fictitious. They don't work. I have dealt with polls all of my life, and I'm just telling you, there's never a sample size that is large enough to truly represent the demographic or the ethnicity of a person. They're never large enough.
It is said that you can torture a statistic to say anything you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so how many people in this room ever went to see the Globetrotters? Me. All of us?
Only on TV.
Only on TV. All right.
Could never get to Des Moines from there.
Yeah. Well, the star of the Globetrotters from day one was a guy by the name of Meadowlark Lemon.
Right.
And he has passed away. His wife and his daughter confirmed that he died Sunday in Scottsdale, Arizona. Known as the Clown Prince of the barnstorming basketball team, Lemon used a blend of hook shots and humor to bring joy to millions of fans around the world. The showman was inducted into both the Basketball and the Clown Hall of Fame. He later formed Scottsdale, Arizona-based Meadowlark Lemon Ministries, traveling from country to country to provide a message of faith to children in basketball camps and in youth prisons. He was just incredible.
Any idea of his age?
83, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
I seen him down at Betts Auditorium in the 60s.
I interviewed him on Q102, so that tells you how long ago that was. And he came in full garb, and he was bigger than life. You know, a lot of times entertainers don't grasp the power of radio because there's no visual there. And obviously Meadowlark Lemon was mostly about the visual. But, man, he didn't back off at all. He was just wonderful on the radio.
Do you remember the hook shot from half court he always tried?
Oh, yeah.
Seems like he hit it every time I seen him do it.
Well, he was an incredible guy, and what an entertainer, and he was a good man from everything I know. The other person we lost over the weekend was Desert Storm Commander retired General Norman Schwarzkopf, who, by the way, did not like the nickname Stormin' Norman. The seemingly no-nonsense Desert Storm Commander, reputed temper with aides and subordinates, supposedly earned him that rough-and-ready moniker, Stormin' Norman. But others around the general, who passed away Thursday in Tampa, Florida, at age 78 from complications of pneumonia, knew him as a friendly, talkative, and even jovial figure who preferred the somewhat milder conversation about troops in America. That one perhaps suited him better later in his life when he supported various national causes, children's charities, etc. Stormin' Norman again passed away at age 78 in Tampa, Florida. And I have his book at home, and I remember reading parts of the book, and he was a no-nonsense dude.
Let me ask Paul, do you think military generals, as some say, are better suited to be commander-in-chief?
That could be an issue. They're used to putting out orders and expecting results right away. When you have to put out orders and expect it to go through Congress and Senate, I think probably not. I don't think they're more adept to doing with that. We had a good example of a lot of military guys that get out, become governors, and one of their issues they have is trying to work with other people that have their own thoughts and ideas. And we have a president right now that figures he's a general right now, and that's the way he operates, and he dictates. Unfortunately, we have a pretty much, how would I say, a Congress and Senate that can't focus well.
Well, we got a guy that fancies himself that living in a banana republic, and he just needs to forget the pencil or the ink pen and the phone and just go with the bullhorn and a balcony.
Well, the Congress and Senate both, just kind of letting them do that.
Yeah.
They're talking about.
I think the Republicans in Washington are just as corrupt as the Democrats are right now.
I call them Republicrats. And
yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not a good thing. But
it's one of the reasons I've paid so much attention to Trump. Now, I haven't. If you listen to me, Paul, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Who am I to endorse somebody? I'm nobody. I'll tell you who I'm going to vote for the day of or the day after, whatever. But you need to make the decision on your own. But I was in a conversation yesterday with some people, and I said, I'm really interested in Trump. And they did, why are you on it? Because he's the only one that isn't bought and paid for. I'd like to see what happens in Washington when you can't be bought and paid for.
Keep in mind, he'd come out and told everybody, I paid for this person, I paid for this person.
Yeah.
I put as much money toward the Democrat Party as I do Republican Party. I expect results, and that's what he wants. When he puts money out there, he expects results back.
Yeah.
And that I lived on the East Coast with him already. I saw what he did there in New Jersey. Yeah, when he wants something bad enough,
he gets it done.
He gets it done. Finances take care of it, and he's willing to pay that price in order to get something done. So,
all right, well, that's the voice of Paul. He's going to be our special guest here when we return after Salem Radio Network News. He spent many, many hours in a Des Moines mosque talking about the Quran and Christianity and the Bible with some imams and some other people in the mosque. We're going to learn what he learned when we come back. All right, I'm J. Michael McCoy. Thanks for listening. If I haven't told you lately, I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. Right here on The Truth, 99.3.